Hey, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box Podcast. My name's Gary. I am one of your hosts for this recording, and it is the roundtable for May. We have just about squeezed it in, like we did last month as well. We just about got it in for April. So this is the May roundtable. Completely my fault. We would have done this week, maybe 2 weeks earlier, but I've just been busy with other stuffs. So sorry to you guys for messing you around, but we are here. Alas, we're here at last to crack on and talk about some of the new stuff that's coming with Doctor Who. The theme of this one is going to be stuff that's been blown up, of course, throughout Doctor Who news and fandom, but now the dust has settled a little bit. These guys have had a chance to chew the fat between themselves, have those long nights with the chamomile tea or the whiskey, take your pick, whatever, or the chocolate biscuits and the cup of tea, whatever you like, whatever floats your boat, to digest all that stuff. So we're going to talk about that. So before we get on to the main subject, of course, let's bring in our super duper team. First up, Maria. How are you, my darling?
Hi, Gary. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I went to the Verity Lambert tribute event at the weekend, so that was a bit of fun. So yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good, sounds good. Jordan, how are you, sir?
Hello, I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, I'm currently looking forward to the next BFI event, the Peter Cushing films.
Oh, yes. Very cool. Nice one. And we're also joined by Harry. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good today, thank you, Gary. Since we last met up online, I have been to the Museum of Classic Sci-Fi in Allendale. I was away on a holiday and I managed to get there. I've got an article coming up about that, so keep your eyes peeled. And yeah, how the devil are you, Gary? How are you doing?
How the devil am I? I'm very well, thank you. I'm just tired. I'm just tired from being really busy at work. So my day job is working within the podcast industry, and there was a really big, one of the first big podcast sort of conferences, I suppose, in London, because we're a bit behind the US on that sort of thing. You know, for the last 6-7 years, they've had these very big conventions for podcasters from the industry point of view and a creator's point of view. They've done maybe 3 or 4 of them throughout the US, big ones. So this was the first one they did in London. Of course, our company was there. We exhibited there and did some talks and all that stuff. And it was just knackering. I don't know if anyone's ever done industry conferences or conventions before, but your feet hurt after day one and then you're out doing networking till late at night. And it's, yeah, so 3 or 4 days of that, it's just tiring. So I'm tired, but I'm getting back into routine now. But yay, 3-day week. So that's all good. But other than being a bit tired, dude, I'm good, thank you. I'm very good.
Awesome to hear.
Cool. So before we crack on and get the opinions from these very intelligent, clever peeps on Doctor Who, you can read these guys' work over on the website. Just head over to bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. We have a handy little nav at the top. If you just click on articles, that will just show you all the articles that these guys put together. So that's all of their reviews, their opinion pieces, editorials, etc. Go and check them all. They're very, very cool. We are absent a couple of writers this evening, though. So no Matt and no Mark. They're otherwise engaged. So it's going to be the 4 of us. It's going to be a cozier, the best ones, really. The best ones are turned up. So that's all good. And remember to subscribe and follow the podcast in general. So whatever podcast app you prefer to listen to your podcast on, just do a search for the Big Blue Box or head over to the website again and just put a /listen at the end. And that will give you a nice page where you can go and link off to all of your podcast apps and so on. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Links on the website. Come and give us a like and a follow. We all chat Doctor Who throughout the week. These guys are all on Twitter as well. So we all chat Doctor Who and post little tidbits and whatnot. And we also have a free Discord server And I've been making some updates and changes to that today as well. So it's looking very cool at the moment. So come and join that and chat Doctor Who with other Who fans. And it would be remiss of me just very quickly to not mention my usual co-host channel, Adam, the Geek's Handbag, over on his YouTube channel called the Geek's Handbag. So go and check out his stuff over there. And he's on the socials under the same name too. Right, let's talk new Doctor Who, I guess. We've still got new Doctor Who to come, so it's not really fair to say, let's say in the future Doctor Who, because we've still got the special, like the last one for Jodie, right? And the last the bowing out of sort of stage left to go that way for Jodie and Chibbers to come. So let's talk about future Doctor Who. So it was a really big kind of one of those things that just breaks the internet to do with Doctor Who. It's one of those cool moments where it was just one bit of news after the other, which was awesome. So the big one was obviously the casting announcement for our new Doctor for series 14? 14? 15? 14.
14.
14. Yeah, thank you. Yes. So Kyushi is our new Doctor, which was announced, which is very, very cool. And then we had some other announcements that kicked off, and we had a load of backstage filming photographs. We had David Tennant and Catherine Tate were back, and we thought, yeah, that's a load of BS. And then it wasn't BS because people took photos of them with David Tennant in his Doctor costume, and she was back. And then we had an announcement for a new companion, Yasmin Finney. We don't know if she's a permanent companion or if she's just a companion to David Tennant's Doctor. I personally haven't. I can't get my head around that stuff at the moment, but it all went off. So let's start with you guys. Let's go to Jordan first. Initial thoughts, and now you've had time to process this just a wee bit. What are your thoughts on our new Doctor then, Kyushi?
I mean, I will be honest. When they first announced him, I had no idea who it was. Absolutely no idea who it was. I've never seen Sex Education. Mm-hmm. Though I know it's a big thing. I've seen him in like trailers for it and stuff, but I've never actually seen. So I was a bit like, oh, yeah, they've announced the new Doctor. I don't know who it is, but that's fine. But then nobody knew who Matt Smith was, or David Tennant wasn't a big name when he was announced. But it was very. I think we've gotten so used to it being a big announcement, it's on in the middle of Wimbledon or football or whatever. I think this announcement, though, kind of broke the internet in its quiet way of announcing it, if that makes sense. I think it suits the generation of people who have watched Sex Education that are now going to watch Doctor Who because he's in it. So, although I have no idea who he was, I still have no idea who he is, really. I've still not watched Sex Education. But I have been informed by quite a few people that apparently he's quite good in it. So, hopefully he'll be good for Doctor Who. I'm looking forward to it. I know I don't sound like I am, but I am.
Very good. Yes, I had very, very similar experience to you when I first saw the announcement and the news. I thought, okay, cool, this looks very cool, but I just have no idea who this guy is. I mean, I'd heard the name, but I just not watched Sex Education or the other few bits that he's been in. So, I immediately had to jump on and YouTube and look at some of the clips that he was in. If you just search for his name, it's there's a ton of clips and stuff from Sex Education, some other bits. So once I'd got my head around that and I'd watched those things, I thought, actually, yeah, this is amazing. I think this guy's going to be great. So very similar experience to you. So, okay, Maria, what did you think when you saw this?
Sorry, I'm just trying to unmute myself. Sorry.
Cybermats. Oh, here again.
Yeah. Sorry. I think I've got butterfingers with this computer. So much like Jordan, I had never heard of Ncuti, and I think that's probably a good thing actually for me. I mean, it does make you feel a bit old when, you hear the new Doctor is like 29 years old and you hear about obviously an upcoming companion who's really young as well. But I think what I've loved about it is it feels like Russell T Davies has got a handle on how to announce things, because I think it came out on the day that the BAFTAs were showing, or that's when I was kind of aware of it.
Yeah.
And it just struck me how Russell isn't afraid of publicity, and kind of, obviously they're there on the red carpet, the biggest kind of platform that you could have. And, the news is buzzing about Ncuti, and he's obviously there, as part of the BAFTAs as well. So I just thought it feels so right that, the timing of it just felt such a positive thing, and it just seemed to come out at just exactly the right time. The biggest platform you could have, the BAFTAs, and there's a lot of buzz around him as well. Obviously, he's very popular in sex education, which I haven't seen. It's not something I would have seen, but it feels like Russell's got his hand on the his finger on the pulse. And he seems to know the right kind of actors to bring into the role. It's not like when we had the announcement with Jodie, where came out during Wimbledon, and it was done in a very mysterious way, and that's what I've loved about the announcement, and what's made me feel excited, because I am excited to see what Russell's going to do, obviously with a new leading man, and and the stories he wants to tell. It feels like there's a sense of excitement about Doctor Who again, and Russell's got some kind of golden touch, I think, when it comes to these kind of announcements. That's my opinion anyway. And as somebody that's been a fan of the classic series, I'm excited again about Doctor Who, and I haven't felt that for a while. So I'm very excited to see what's coming, and because I don't know the actors either as well, so it's like a blank canvas, and it's really exciting.
Nice one. Yeah, makes sense. Very cool. Harry, over to you, buddy. What do you think?
Well, I actually saw the announcement the day that the announcement happened. It was the day that I went to the Sci-Fi Museum. So we had literally just left the Sci-Fi Museum, and we were in a cafe, and we were about to go for a walk along Hadrian's Wall, and I just checked Facebook and I saw it on there, and I was shocked by how low key it was. But I mean, we don't necessarily need all the fanfare. I mean, I think it was probably big enough news. It drew enough attention, just as a Facebook post kind of thing. And yeah, I think Ncuti is such a good actor. He's got so much range in sex education. He can be really funny, and also be really like take on some really grounded moments. He's really truthful with those, and and he's just got so much charisma, and I think he's going to be really good. And I don't want to jump the gun, because I thought that Jodie was going to be really good, and yes, Jodie brought a lot of energy to the role, but one thing or another, maybe Chibnall's writing, it didn't all come together for me. So I don't want to get my hopes up too high, but Ncuti is an amazing actor, Russell's an amazing writer, so I have really high hopes. I'm really excited, and nothing more I can really say. We don't know kind of what his Doctor's going to be like. We don't know what he's going to bring to it. Is it going to be anything like his character in Sex Education? Is it going to be is it going to surprise us? We don't know, and it's really exciting. So yeah, I have a good feeling about this one. Really good feeling.
It's definitely exciting. Defo. Yeah, it's good times, and yeah, it does feel like, I think Maria was saying earlier on, that it does feel like Russell's got the Midas touch, right? Just he's not infallible, obviously, and he does make not everything that he does is 10 out of 10 A-star stuff, but the majority of it is very, very good. You cannot deny his pedigree, because when he was doing Doctor Who back in 2000 and end of 2005 onwards, I guess, you can't argue with facts, right? So if you're one of those people that likes to have a look at the stats and the viewing figures and dive into that stuff, you can't deny that the viewing figures were at their highest then, and the popularity of the show was at its peak and throughout the Tennant stuff. And and also not just Doctor Who, right, but some of the other shows that he's worked on, like most of it is like award-winning stuff. This is not just a guy that's like a flash in the pan, one-hit wonder. Yeah, that show back in the day was amazing. Do you remember when Russell T Davies did Doctor Who back in the day, but you've not heard of him since then? It's like that was almost like a springboard to all of the other cool stuff that he's done since then. So do you guys think then that we are going to see a very different Russell T Davies and a very different Russell T Davies era, or do you think it will be of like he never left? Do you think there'll be like, what I'm trying to say is, do you think that watching an episode from 2023 will feel and watch like it was done in 2007, for example, or do you think it's going to be night and day, like he's just moved on so much as a writer and all the production stuff is going to be very, very different? They're going to be very different. So what do you reckon to that, Harry?
That's a really interesting question. I think that it's probably going to be the same and different at the same time. And I'll try and explain myself a little bit more. I think, obviously, if you watch a Russell T Davies script or a Stephen Moffat script unfold on screen, you can sort of get the feeling, oh, this is a Russell T Davies script, this is a Stephen Moffat script. So I feel like it'll be the same in that sense. I mean, I think he writes characters really well, and there's a certain way that Russell T Davies writes a character, and there's truth to it, and there's heart to it. Like, there's a unique, I don't know, like I feel like it's easy to recognise his writing style, the way he writes dialogue. So I feel like it'll be the same in that sense, and also in the sense of David Tennant and Catherine Tate coming back. I mean, and other stuff we won't go into in case people don't want to be spoiled or anything. But perhaps maybe certain other characters coming back and stuff. Like it'll probably hit a lot of the same beats, and that's very exciting, and that makes me feel fuzzy and warm and nostalgic. And it's it's kind of supposed to, because it's for the 60th. But all the same, I'm hoping that he will reinvent the wheel a little bit, and I mean, he's got to have some different approach in mind. What that is, I don't know, but why else would he come back if not to kind of do something a little bit different? Like, surely there's an itch that he hasn't scratched yet, like a creative itch. So, yeah, it's hard to tell at the minute, but I suppose that's what I hope will happen. It'll be kind of the same, but also kind of different. Okay,
yeah, good point. Yeah, very good point. And you mentioned something that's been on my mind for a little while, and while we've been talking about the Russell T Davies era coming back and everything, and that is I hope he does do something different. I hope he does not trade on the glory years, quote unquote, from old Doctor Who, because I think nostalgia will only get you so far. I think you'll only get a little way with that before people start to think, well, that's great and everything, Russell, but where's the new stuff? Where's the cool stuff? So yeah, it's a good point, dude. What do you reckon, Jordan? Familiar or completely different?
I think it'll be a mixture of both. I think you can definitely see in a lot of the stuff that he's done now that his writing's evolved and changed since Doctor Who. But I think what he'll sort of stick to the more sort of like Rose Tyler-y, that kind of her family and sort of how her travels affect them kind of thing. I think he's going to do that with whoever the new companion is. But I think I'm hoping that he's going to try and it's going to be a bit more cosmic. They're going to be out in space a bit more. They're going to be on different planets a bit more. Sort of really mix the familiar sort of family side of things with the unfamiliar sort of alien planets and spaceships and things like that. So I'm hoping that he's going to go for a mixture of them both. But it wouldn't surprise me if he starts off familiar, so that people kind of get into it, and then he just goes crazy, and it's like, okay, we'll go with it. That's fine.
Cool. Okay. Interesting. So familiar to begin with, and then we'll be off to the new flashy stuff. Okay. Maria, what do you reckon?
Yeah.
I think with Russell, he's obviously made a calculated move with bringing Ncuti in, because he's obviously somebody that's been in a series that's proved very popular, or he's playing a very popular character, and also obviously with the companion that he's kind of chosen. I think it's a calculated move to bring probably a younger audience back to Doctor Who. So I think there will be some elements of the familiar, because I think he will probably try and relaunch Doctor Who again with this Doctor. So maybe I would imagine there'll be some elements that will be familiar to get people on board again. So I imagine maybe, I don't know how many series Ncuti will do, but let's imagine there's 3 series. So I imagine the first series will be very much about introducing the Doctor again, maybe bringing in some familiar elements to bring fans back to the show. And then he could possibly go in a new direction, possibly multi-universe. I don't know. It's very difficult, but I think Russell is a really talented writer, so I suppose the sky's the limit with his writing. He is very talented, so it's difficult to say. I think he will, as Jordan and Harry have said, there'll be a mix of both in there. So he'll need to bring some new elements in. And obviously take the Doctor in a different direction, but I think there'll be a sense of the familiar about it as well. I mean, he's relaunched the show once. This is probably an opportunity to relaunch it again, and and bring fans back to the show and make it as popular as it was when it first came back.
Yeah, the multiverse thing is interesting. I think we all spoke about this, didn't we? Last month or the month before, I think we spoke about that very subject, whether we felt like Doctor Who was going to follow down the sort of MCU route and try and play up the whole multiverse thing, because at the end of Flux we did see, or towards the end of Flux we did see the whole. They actually visualised it for us, didn't they? They showed the 2 separate universes and the ship in between and all that stuff. So that could play a part. I mean, I guess maybe it goes back to what Jordan was saying, or maybe it'll sort of start off fairly light, maybe. And then as we ramp up, as we go through I don't know. And that's what's so great about it, though. That's what's so cool about having, because it's definitely different to having just another series with the same showrunner. There's definitely an air of anticipation around which direction they're going to go in. So I remember when Moffat took over from Russell T Davies, and that was very much a similar vibe. It was it feels like, not like a reboot, but it feels like here's an opportunity to take hopefully all the good bits that we've seen and we've enjoyed so far, and build on that, and let's have a belter of a first series with a new showrunner. So it definitely feels like that. So can you guys see, if we think a little bit further ahead, can you guys, with your crystal balls, maybe look at how long you think Russell T is going to hang around for? Because we have these kind of myths, don't we, that permeate around fandom for ages, and it's like, yeah, they'll only be here for 3 seasons and then they'll go, and I think Jodie and I think David Tennant said this, but only sort of retroactively, but I think Jodie and Chibbers did say up front they're only going to do 3 and then bugger off. But with the other ones, all the other actors that have been involved and Russell T Davies and so on, they've never really sort of let us know the plan up front. And, you know, there's no reason why they should. But do you guys think that Russell's going to be here for a while now? Are we thinking somewhere between 3 and 5 seasons, or is just going to be a 1 season? Because let's not discount that as well. This could just be a 1 season for him and then hand over the reins, you know, so possibly. So what do you reckon, Maria? Is this going to be a long haul for him or a short one?
Well, I think given that Russell has decided to come back to Doctor Who, I think, and the fact that he's obviously got a new doctor, I think he will want to stay and explore what he can do with this doctor. I think initially when the announcement was made, I think there was a bit of speculation about whether he was just coming back short term. I'm hopeful that he's going to stay for maybe 3 years, maybe 4, or he could possibly stay 3 years, I think, with this new doctor. I'm assuming that because of the tradition, as you said, that, you know, most doctors will stay for 3 years, most modern doctors, that they'll probably do something similar. And I think it would depend, obviously, how many episodes they get per season as well, because I don't envisage that we'll get 13 episodes again. So, yeah, it's difficult to say. I would say 3 years, and then, you know, there may be an option for him to stay longer. And the same with Ncuti. I would imagine 3 years, and then they'll review it, but difficult to say.
You reckon 3? Cool. Harry, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon 3 as well. I mean, it just seems like the magic number, doesn't it? Since Tennant, they've all done 3, the Doctors, and Chris did three series as a showrunner. So I reckon, yeah, that's probably going to be what it is. I mean, it's really hard to tell, but yeah, I would assume that they're going to do a trio of series. And also as well, you know, I don't think Russell will come back just for the short term, because like Maria said, I'm sure that if he's gone through the process of casting Ncuti and you know, he's going to be like right in the start of his tenure, then he's probably going to want to see it through. And, you know, back to the thing of scratching the itch, you know, I'm guessing there's something that maybe he does want to do, and maybe there's a number of things he wants to do. I don't know. I mean, he is a lifelong fan. So yeah, I predict, using my crystal ball, 3 seasons for Ncuti and Russell.
Another 3 seasons for you as well. Okay. 3 series, should I say. Cool, need the swear jar back.
Season, series.
Yeah. Yep, put a pound in the swear jar. Jordan, what are you saying on this one?
I'm going to agree with all you guys. I reckon about 3 or 4 years. It seems a little bit odd if he was only going to come back and do 1 series. So I reckon he'll do 3, but there's, like everybody else says, there has to be a reason why he's coming back. There's something that he wants to do that, you know, might need more than 1 series. So, and I think, you know, most actors who play the Doctor, unless you have a really horrible time like Christopher Eccleston did, I think most actors who want to play the Doctor want to do it for a few years and then sort of step away and let somebody else have a go. So yeah, I reckon 3 or 4 years.
Same. Okay. Yeah, I'm inclined to go along with you guys on this one. I think it's not outside of the realm of. Yeah, I can't see it either, because there's nothing stopping him from just sort of being the guy that sets up the new era, and almost in a similar vein to what they do with writers who they bring in to write specific episodes throughout a series. There's nothing stopping Bad Wolf and Russell together saying, okay, well, I'll be the guy that fronts it for the first series, and then, you know, I've got this other guy over here who I really respect. He's a great guy. He can show run, you know. But however, I think, yeah, I'm with you guys. I think it's too much of a big thing to put your name to just give it the one series, right? You need to give it a little bit of time to. You do need that 2 and 3rd series potentially, definitely a second one anyway, to see some of the storylines through and stuff. Because, like Harry was saying, there's probably things that he's really wanted to do, maybe didn't get a chance to do when he was here before, and then just as after he left Doctor Who, being a fan of Doctor Who, I suppose, and just consuming Doctor Who content, that's probably formed a big plan in his head of like, okay, I'll grab that little cool bit there, and that's made me think about this idea, and that's really cool. So I imagine he probably can't fit all of that amazing stuff in his big clever head into one series. So yeah, and also, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's quite rare for somebody to come back into that once you've left. I can't think of another. There probably is, of course, but I can't think of another big popular TV show where there was a fairly famous, very successful showrunner that left and then came back another point. You know, so is it a risk? I suppose it could be viewed as a bit of a risk for him as a showrunner and a writer. It's like, why would you come back to the thing? Because if you think about when he left Doctor Who, there must have been a very good reason for him to want to go in the first place. So whether that was just creatively or a bit like the reasons that David Tennant gave when he said, you know, it starts to feel a little bit like a job, you know, that's when you feel like it's time to sort of hang up the key to the TARDIS and bugger off. So I don't know. I feel like personally, as him as his own personal career, I feel like that's a potential big thing to put your name to and commit to. So yeah, I'm with you guys. I reckon at least 2 series, probably 3. Yeah. So what about some of the other stuff then? Some of the other cool things that's been going on in and around the announcement, the big one for Ncuti, who's the big news, obviously. But what did you guys think to Mr. Tennant and Catherine Tate coming back? Which we still don't know is in what shape or form, right? We don't know if this is something that's in the main. What word can we use here? The main universe, timeline, whatever it is. Is this a little pocket universe thing going on? Is this a flashback? Is this something that happened, you know, in between 2 of the stories when it was David Tennant's run? We have no idea. But what did you guys think to that news breaking that David Tennant was coming back? Because remember, he was rumoured to come back as the Doctor properly at one point. So this is interesting. So Harry, David Tennant and Catherine Tate, what's going on?
Well, yeah, it's wonderful news, isn't it? I mean, yeah, they're fantastic and everybody loves them. And, you know, I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who will complain about it. You know, it's great that they're coming back. And I mean, you know, I'll admit I wasn't exactly shocked because, you know, Tennant does a lot of Big Finish and Catherine Tate's done a few Big Finish as well, and you know, I feel like there's been almost a resurgence of the 10th Doctor sort of in the last few years, so it was kind of inevitable that he was going to come back for the 60th. But yeah, it's really, you know, it's really exciting, and what's even more exciting is, you know, not knowing in what capacity he's going to come back. I mean, it's still a possibility that David Tennant might actually be the 14th Doctor, and Ncuti will be the 15th. And that's a really unusual idea. As David Tennant said himself, it would be a weird idea. I think he said something like that at a convention he did recently. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't think any of us are going to be able to sort of crack the code of, you know, what is actually going on until we actually see it, or, you know, if Jodie regenerates into David Tennant in the centenary special. You know, you don't know. It's exciting, you know. I'm really excited, Gary.
That is an exciting part of it, definitely. Those sort of the dangling of the carrot is the best way to put it, because we know that they've been announced, we know they're in it, we know all that stuff. It's just we don't want to be told up, you know, we don't want to be spoilt with that stuff, of course, but it does get your brain ticking over. Jordan, what did you think to this news then, and how do you think this is going to go?
It had been rumoured for a while, hadn't it, that he was coming back. So it wasn't a huge surprise, but I loved David Tennant and Catherine Tate. Their series is probably one of my favourite modern series. I have my theory on why he's back. So it'll be interesting to see why he's coming back. I don't know if you want to hear my theory. I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's gone, oh, Jodie Whittaker's going to regenerate into David Tennant. But what if David Tennant is the Watcher? You know, Legopolis, and you had the Watcher, and it was Peter Davison all the time. Well, what if something goes wrong with Jodie Whittaker when she regenerates, or like her body gets so damaged that it needs to recover? So when she regenerates, her body, the Watcher, will take over, and the Watcher will take the form of David Tennant while the body is recovering, and then he will regenerate into Ncuti. So he is the Doctor, but he's not the Doctor, if that makes sense. That's my theory. I don't know, only because there's been some sort of like, well, we've all seen the leaked photos on Twitter, but some of them he's kind of got a bit of a burnt hand. And I'm thinking, has something gone wrong with Jodie Whittaker? Does she get really, hurt, and then the Watcher has to take over? We might even see David Tennant in this centenary special, and he'll be sort of, on a bridge somewhere or over the motorway or something like that. And, you think, oh my God, it's David Tennant.
Interesting. Listener, this is why these guys are involved. Crikey. So that just blows open a whole nother potential can of worms with that, doesn't it? Because
if Russell is listening to this and that is the story, I'm very sorry.
Yeah, we spoilt it here first. Yeah. Okay. Right, we'll come back to that. We'll circle back to that. Maria, what did you think when you heard the news of David Tennant and Catherine Tate coming back?
Well, of course. I mean, they are a magic pairing together. So, but I was very excited because I love the series that they do together. I mean, it was only one series, but what a fantastic series it was. So the idea of them coming together again is brilliant. It's very exciting. I like Jordan's theory, actually. It's an interesting theory. I never thought of that one. So well done, Jordan. I mean, I don't know how many scenes they're in. So obviously we don't know if it's just a cameo and they're part of a bigger story, or whether there's a lot going on between the two characters. But yeah, it'll be fascinating to see what the story is between them. I mean, obviously with the Doctor, he can travel in time, so there is the possibility that he can go and see Donna again in the future. So yeah, I'm fascinated to see what's going on, and it is exciting. I love the idea that they're coming back, even if it is just for a few scenes, or if it's a longer part. It's really, really exciting. I love it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think everybody took that news fairly well, to say the least. I think everybody, that's what I mentioned earlier, it's almost like the train just kept going, like with all the announcements, and Adam and I said on last week's episode, or the week before, that kind of feel sorry a little bit for Jodie a little bit, because normally when you get up to the end of a Doctor's run, as you guys know, and a listener will know, you have the announcement in the run up to the regeneration story, that current Doctor's last story, and that's pretty much it. Unless it's a big changeover with a new showrunner, which Russell was announced a while ago now, though. So that sort of the dust had properly settled on Russell coming back. We knew that. So normally you just get the regeneration run up. New Doctor's announced. They regen in that story. Away we go. But poor Jodie, she's got this last story, the last hurrah, if you like. And it was like, no, not only, It's the announcement for the new Doctor. Then David Tennant news broke. Catherine Tate, the new companion. We also, there's a rumor as well that what's his face is coming back as well. The old master from Tennant's run. What's his name? John Sims. Sims. Guys, Sims. John Sim. Yes, because
Sim.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there was. Thank you. I'm sure there was something announced when there was something on Twitter, and it was like, yeah, the BBC have confirmed that John Sim's back as the master. And then Adam and I also said that the way that Russell had worded some of the interviews he was doing at the BAFTAs with Ncuti and so on, he kept using the word spectacular all the time. It was like he kept saying it, like at the end of every interview, it was like, yes, it's going to be spectacular. And then like within a couple of hours of that first one going out, there were some tweets around the BBC and John Sim, blah, blah, blah. Then it was removed conveniently, quote unquote. So he's probably back, right? There's no smoke without fire, with that stuff. So
I know he's coming back, isn't he, to do the new... Is it Lazarus, the new spin-off for Ashes to Ashes and Life on Mars?
Yes.
I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, if he's in the studios, it wouldn't surprise me if he'll come back as the master.
There you go. Yeah, no travel costs. Yeah, don't have to get a taxi.
He'll just hop from one studio, one side of the building to the other.
Do you know what? Harry will confirm this, I'm sure, but it's not it's not uncommon for actors to piggyback off other things. You hear of a lot of actors who do television recording in studios during the day, and then they have to hop it over to a theatre to do their run in the theatre and vice versa and stuff. So Harry, actors can be busy with that stuff, right?
Yeah, and you know what? It's all about networking. And I suppose, if you're at the level that John Sim is at, you don't really have to, work as hard to get the work. But, if he's working with a bunch of people at the BBC, then he's probably in contact with the sorts of people who would be in contact with Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf. So that's not outside the realm of possibility. I mean, the first time, I'll admit, when I was listening to you on the podcast say that for the first time, Gary, about Russell using the word spectacular, I thought, I don't know, maybe that is a bit of a shot in the dark. But then he did it again, and it's like, oh, okay, well, noticing a little bit of a pattern here. So, I reckon it's probably all part of. I mean, they're probably really celebrating this era of Doctor Who, like the Tennant era. It kind of makes me feel like, are they going to do a similar thing for Matt's era or for Capaldi, or what they're going to do, how they're going to cover all the classic series stuff? Is it just going to be a Tennant centric 60th anniversary? I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, Maria, what do you reckon?
I don't know. I think there's more announcements in the pipeline. I think we've just scratched the surface of what's coming. Obviously Russell's not going to reveal everything straight away. I'm hoping for something that's more along the lines of the Five Doctors, that kind of celebrates different parts of the classic and the new series. So if it was Tennant centric and John Sim centric, I don't know. I'm a bit in two minds about John Sim coming back if he was to come back, because I thought his Doctor was really kind of quite manic. So I'm not sure if I would be that excited if he was coming back, to be honest. I prefer some of the more calculated masters or mistresses, I should say, rather than his interpretation was a bit manic, because I recently watched the series 3 finale, the 3-parter starting with Utopia, and I kind of I'm not sure if I actually liked him that much as the master. So if that's what they're going to do, I'll roll with it. But he's not my favourite master, and I would think that hopefully Russell is a bit smarter than that, rather than concentrate on one particular Doctor, that there's more coming It might be a little smorgasbord of a little bit of everything, hopefully.
Yeah, Jordan, what do you reckon?
I think there's a lot that we've not been told yet. I think there's going to be quite a few surprises. My main thing, though, is I'm thinking it's very, very early to start filming something that's going to come out next November. I know it's probably, a feature thing, and it's, films are filmed years in advance. But it's very, very early to film what's probably only going to be an hour and a half special. So I'm wondering if maybe at the end of this centenary we're going to get an announcement that there's going to be maybe another 2 or 3 specials next year, and then the 60th. So, Ncuti's first episode will be the 60th, and what we're seeing is sort of pictures and bits of filming from the first of the specials or something. I don't know. But I have to agree with Maria and say that John Sim is not my favourite master, but I'm happy enough if he's going to come back just for one episode. But no, I'm thinking there might be something else going on that they've not told us yet.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely more one of the more bonkers guys to take on. It's almost like I always liken the role of the Master to the Joker from Batman. That can be played in exactly the same way as some of the actors have played it in Doctor Who. So sometimes you get the more calculated, sort of Heath Ledger-y Joker who's not so crazy and manic. And a bit like the new one. I don't know if you guys have seen the latest Batman film. There was the Riddler character from there was very, very unlike the other, completely different. So, I get that. Okay, so John Sim probably back at some point in some shape or form, we think, for that. Who would you guys like to see come back then? Either in the 60th or in the proper series. Is there any characters? Either it doesn't matter. Could be from 2005, newer Doctor Who or classic Who. Are there any characters that you would really want to see come back in whatever shape or form? They don't have to be a companion. It could be anybody that would be in either the 60th or Ncuti's proper series. Maria.
I know it's probably unlikely, but I'd like to see some of the classic Doctors come back if possible. I know they're getting on a bit, but I would love some kind of acknowledgement of some of the classic Doctors. So maybe Sylvester McCoy comes back, possibly even Colin Baker. I think Chibnall kind of surprised me when he's bringing back Ace and Tegan. So, I would have automatically probably gone for them, if I didn't know that they were coming back in the next episode. But yeah, maybe bringing back some classic Doctors, that would be lovely to see them. Bring back the Unearthly Child, Carol Ann Ford, while she's still here.
Good shout.
She's she's still here, and she would. I'm sure she would come back if she was asked. Possibly Katie Manning as well as Jo Grant. That would be lovely to see her as well. There's definitely a few characters from Classic Who that I would love to see come back. How likely it is, I don't know, but yeah. Yeah,
Carol Ann Ford is a great shout. I'd love to see that character come back for sure. And Adam and I have spoken a little bit over the last few weeks around how we feel like the classic Doctors were shortchanged a wee bit in the 50th anniversary. We felt anyway. We completely understood Stephen Moffat's reasoning for having it more of a look ahead, I suppose, rather than a look back, which is understandable. But we just felt like they really should have been in the program properly, and they should have, done that a bit. So Maria, if the classic Doctors are back, then huge thumbs up. Carol Ann Ford, huge thumbs up. That's all good. Harry, who would you want to see come back?
Well, I think Maria took all the words out of my mouth, because my picks are pretty much the same. I was thinking Carol Ann Ford the moment that you said her name, Maria. Yeah, I mean, I think that just makes sense. I mean, I know that they've done either an audio drama or a book where Paul McGann, his doctor, met Susan. But it'd be nice to, see that, because that's not actually been kind of resolved, the whole One Day I Shall Come Back thing. It's not been resolved in the TV show itself. So I think that'd be a lovely thing to do for the 60th anniversary. And yeah, just bring back all the Doctors in any way that you can is what I would say. I mean, I know that some of them have aged quite a bit, but you can come up with some canonical reason why, the Doctors appear older than when they were. I mean, no one's going to care, because everyone's just going to be happy to see, Tom and Peter and all the rest of them. I mean, especially Tom. Tom's getting on a bit now, and it's so easy to be morbid when you talk about these kind of things. But I mean, the next big anniversary is around the corner. I think they should probably bring him back in some way, even if it's just for a cameo, like they did for the 50th. So yeah, I hope that we see Susan. I hope we see all of the Doctors, all the surviving Doctors. I mean, also as well, do we get back into the discussion of, digitally bringing back the deceased Doctors? I don't know, but all the surviving Doctors for sure, absolutely.
I remember that round table. That was a whole thing. That one.
Yeah, it was a can of worms, that one.
It was, yeah. And do you know what, guys? Out of all the classic Doctors, I know that some of the older chaps among them now, like Tom, like you mentioned, he's getting on a bit, and McCoy now is getting on, of course. But I would really love to see Paul McGann be involved a bit more, because he's kind of been bubbling away under the surface, hasn't he, with Big Finish for so many years now. And just the sheer volume of work at Big Finish and the quality of most of it really does, if that's not a reason just in and of itself to have him back on screen, more than just a 10-minute webisode thing, then I don't know what is. But I don't know, I'd love to see Paul be involved more. I don't know. Anyway, Jordan, who would you want to see come back?
So I'd love to see the classic Doctors come back, and funnily enough, I was also going to say Susan, and I think the 50th missed quite a big opportunity just to have on the board as Clara goes past, and you see Headmaster, that they didn't put Ian Chesterton or something like that. So maybe have somebody like Ian come back if you can't get Carol Ann Ford to come back. I mean, we met Carol Ann Ford at Capitol, and she's still completely okay to do filming and stuff. I think she was talking about how she was doing some new work, so she'd be pretty cool to come back. Otherwise, I'm going to go completely outside the box and say, if they're doing sort of a multiversal thing, why not have the surviving actors from the Peter Cushing films come back? Have sort of Roberta Tovey as Susan, and his niece Louise, and his other granddaughter Barbara, and have some completely insane sort of comeback for them, either as their characters or just put them in it as somebody. I mean, Bernard Cribbins was in them and he came back as somebody else. So maybe them. That'd be quite cool, and it's completely outside the box.
Wouldn't it be funny if the 10th Doctor and Donna, you saw them going on new adventures, and then they met Bernard Cribbins, his character in Dalek Invasion of Earth, and Donna's just Gramps, what are you doing here?
Jesus, Harry.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be really cool.
It would be cool. And also seeing the Schalke Doctor as well. That'd be pretty cool. Richard E. Grant, he'd come back, wouldn't he?
Oh, he'd come back.
You could have an animated universe. That'd be fine.
Bloody hell!
No, a live action Schalke Doctor. Can you imagine it? Oh, I can't wait for the 60th.
I know we've spoken about multiverse, chaps, and lady, but come on, Jesus Christ! I don't know. I'm not even sure. I mean, the Cushing films, right? They sit outside of canon. Am I wrong with that?
I think
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
the
Peter
Doctor's
Cushing had
literally
his
a human.
ideas about where he came in.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Maria?
No, I was going to say I would love because I've always loved things like parallel worlds and things like that. So, if they were to kind of bring them back and kind of use the idea of a parallel world, I think it's possible to bring some of these characters back and kind of have them there and doing their thing. So I love the idea of bringing back some of these characters. It would be wacky. It would definitely be wacky. It would probably send the fandom into meltdown again. But what fun it would be to kind of bring those characters back. I think. I think there's loads of possibilities for the 60th. I think it depends how long it is as well. So, let's keep our fingers crossed that we can get some of these characters back.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's also this mindset of in for a penny, in for a pound. Like if you're going to bring characters back from a potential other universe, or you're going to bring characters back from media that's in the same... I was going to say the same universe as Doctor Who, but that doesn't even mean anything these days because of the multiverse stuff. I'm talking about the Peter Cushing stuff. So if you're going to bring any characters in from those things that are not necessarily canon, but they're still Doctor Who, why not just blow the whole thing open? Why not just go nuts and just have every bloody character just littered throughout, the 60th and then some of the other specials like Jordan mentioned, if they do these specials and stuff. So, if you're going to do it, then just go for it. And just bring them all back. Every single character that's ever been in Doctor Who that's still with us, just bring them back. Right, we're going to wrap up in just 1 second. I just want to ask you guys a closing question. So we've spoken about announcements for actors and everybody coming back, but I want to get your take very quickly on music for New Era Doctor Who. So very quickly, do you think we are going to stick with Sagan? Is Murray back? Or is it somebody completely different? Jordan?
I kind of hope it's somebody new. I mean, Murray Gold did a lot of the sort of like the iconic music, but I think towards the end of his time, he was kind of like, I can't be bothered, let's just stick this song in and, whatever, and if people recognise it, they recognise it. So I think I reckon they'll get somebody new, I think, especially since Sagan's music is... the last couple of series, I haven't even noticed it was there. It's been a bit it's got a bit downhill, I think. So I think they'll get somebody new in.
Cool. Okay, Harry, what do you reckon?
I don't know whether Murray will come back or not. I would like him to. And I think Sagan will go purely on the basis of Jodie's era, Chibnall's era has a very kind of specific feel to it, like a unique feel to it, and I feel like his music is like woven into the fabric of the DNA of that era of the show. So I can't see him staying on for Russell's next tenure, but I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting either way, I think, whatever happens.
Cool. Okay, Maria, what do you think?
I think it's unlikely that Murray Gold will come back, purely because the series is going to be produced by Bad Wolf, and I think what they'll do is they'll want to bring in a new sound for the series going forward. I think there will be new music that comes in. I imagine because it's under Russell, it will probably be quite bombastic and quite loud like it used to be. You know, and I think as Harry says, I think Segan's gone with Chibnall's era, and I hope they bring back the theme, a similar kind of theme to what we had for, is it series 4? Because I really loved the energy in that. It kind of made it quite exciting to watch when we had that kind of more upbeat feel to the theme tune. So I'm sure that they'll bring somebody new in, and it will be somebody that Russell probably already knows, to come and refresh the series.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to go with Murray coming back, just to play devil's advocate and throw a curvy one in there, because I think that he's kind of stuck with Russell a little bit over the years since leaving Doctor Who. He's obviously done other things, of course, but since Doctor Who, he went on and did Years and Years with Russell T. And then he came back and did It's a Sin with Russell T. And yeah, I just have a feeling, a little niggly feeling, that if you're going to get the band back together, then get the band back together. Otherwise it's like, let me think on the spot of a band who could come back together, but it would be ridiculous for some person, one member, to not be there. Guys, help me out here. It's a bit like
in a hypothetical world, like the Beatles getting back together without John Lennon.
Something like that. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a bit like getting the core members back together, but then there's just this weird guy that they've replaced. It was a bit like when they brought Genesis back. I don't know if you guys remember back that far. You probably don't. But Genesis came back and Phil Collins didn't want to do it. So there was just this random dude who was now the new lead singer with Genesis. It lasted about 3 minutes, and that was good night. So yeah, I feel like it's that kind of thing. But anyway, digress on that stuff. Interesting. Okay, so you guys are thinking and hoping for somebody new musically. Cool. Okay. Righty, on that bombshell then, I think we're going to close it there for the May round table. Before we get on to the closing credits, let's just make sure that you guys know where to find these guys. So Jordan, where can people find you out and about on the internet?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I'm just Jordan Shortman, just, my name. Otherwise, I'm writing, I do articles for Big Blue Box, and I also do articles for the Doctor Who Companion.
Nice. Maria, you are on Twitter, but you also write exclusively for the Big Blue Box.
I do, yes. So please check out all my past articles. I've done loads and loads, so please have a look at them.
Very good. And Harry, what are you up to at the minute, dude?
All sorts. I've recently published a new website, harrymarciniak.com. Have a look at my name on the Blue Box website if you want to know how to spell that last name. So you can find out all about my acting work on there and on my social media, which is also on there. And also check out my articles on the Big Blue Box. I love writing them, and I love doing these podcasts. They're a hoot.
Lovely, good stuff. And I'll stick a link to Harry's website in the show notes, so you can go and check that out. And obviously, I'll stick a link to Jordan's stuff and Maria's stuff, so go and check that out. It's all good. And I think we're wrapped there, guys, for May Roundtable. You should see these guys cutting some shapes right now. It's a good thing.
It's a very groovy theme tune.
It's groovy.
I don't think they do want to see us cutting shapes, to be honest. Well, not me cutting shapes.
Rightio. So that's where you can find these guys. Make sure you go and check them out. I've said it many times before. I'll say it many times again. These guys are like, I just am the guy that, does the thing on the microphone. These guys do the very cool work and pour all the cool Doctor Who-ness out of their clever brains and stick it down. into blog posts so you guys can read them. So make sure you check them out. They're very cool. Until next month, then, for the June roundtable, we have no idea what we're going to talk about for that one yet. We'll let you guys know what's going to happen with that. We're very organised. We're very organised on that, so we'll probably let you know the day before we record on that. So yeah, that's going to be cool next month. Until then, make sure you check out the regular podcast as well that goes out every Friday. Just head over to bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all the episodes for free on there as well, plus in your preferred podcast app of choice. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, links on the website. And as I mentioned, we have a free Discord server, so hop in there and chat Doctor Who with other Who fans as well. And I'll get told off if I don't mention my co-host's channel, Adam, the Geek's Handbag, over on YouTube. Go and check that out, and he's on the socials too, under the same name.
Don't forget to remember to remember.
There you go. Right. Are we going to do this, guys? Until next time, remember.